Fun with glass. Saw your video. Heard your questions and your concerns. And I think that the glass community on YouTube would love to help you out. You know, a lot of us did not have the community that there is here on YouTube to help us when we started with glass. That's very important. I tell you, I've only got a couple years experience in glass, so I'm not that great. I'm really not that much of anything in glass. I just have fun with it. There's going to be a lot of costs besides the torch. There's going to be hoses for your oxygen and your propane. There's going to be, if it's an internal mixed torch, your flashback arresters, your oxygen regulator, your propane regulator, your oxygen tank, your propane tank. If you're going to want to do sculptural, you're going to want to get a kiln. You don't have to have one at first, but eventually, as you work in larger and larger sculptures, it's going to become more and more essential that you anneal them correctly. You can flame anneal them. You can. It can be done. It's an art into it itself. You should also look. You know, you had said you didn't think you could do it in Moretti. Some of the finest and most detailed sculptural work in the world is done in glass is done in Moretti. You should look up Lucio Bubacco and Vittorio Constantini, and I mean these Igor. I mean these guys are phenomenal, but they also understand the glass perfectly, and they don't make mistakes. If you make a mistake with soft glass in the assembly or in the construction of a sculpture, it will break. Borosilicate is more forgiving, but that doesn't mean it doesn't break. It does. It's a better glass to learn your fundamental skills on because it is more forgiving, but it's still going to have the same problems that you're describing. It's just, it may not be quite as sensitive to them. Of course, borosilicate brings its own group of problems that soft glass artists haven't even seen, from phase separation, devid, all of that. You know, there's some things that can happen in boro because of how quickly it chills and stops flowing. It can create stress rises all its own. And when you're sculpturing borosilicate, you're going to find it harder to put an arm or a leg on or something like that because you have to remove all undercuts. Undercuts, you can get away with some sharper edges in some of the soft glass than you can in borosilicate. So that's just something to be aware. I mean, I can heat up a rod of soft glass, make this end hot, and I can have a piece over here that's warm enough to take it, but not hot, and I can stick this, and the two pieces will marry. If this was molten, these two pieces will marry, they will become one glass. I can't do that with boro. With boro, I gotta heat this in the fire at the same time, and I'm sitting there trying to, and then I gotta push it in, and then I gotta start to pull so that there's no undercuts or sharp edges, and usually you gotta grab a hand towards you. What you've got to do is realize that it's not just the torch, it's the package of all this stuff. And to that end, I recommend, since you're a college student and you need to watch your expenditures, I think the best bang for buck you can get that's going to last you 5, 10, 15 years, as long as you want to keep using it, it'll keep producing for you, is a Red Max minor combo. You have a minor on the top, and then underneath you have a Red Max torch. Now the Red Max can work all the way to probably, like, I know it'll work 44 millimeter tube, and if you need to work bigger than 44 millimeter tube, you're going to be 3 to 5 years from where you are now. It is a very affordable package, and it's the best bang for the buck. It's surface mixed, so you can work soft or hard glass with it. The flame characteristics are beautiful. They're soft, they're gentle, they're harsh, depending on what you want. Oxidizing, reducing, it'll do it all. And like I said, it's affordable, and it saves you more money for other things. You know, you could, theoretically, if your tax return is big enough, you could go out and buy yourself a GTT Delta Elite, and you'd be absolutely nowhere because you'd spend, you know, some god-awful amount of money on a torch, and you know, GTT, someone mentioned it, you know, the cheapest GTT is more expensive. The cheapest little piece of junk, you know, it's basically, and it's not a piece of junk, the smallest one is going to cost you more than a Red Max minor combination by a lot. And if you get one of the big ones, then you want to work big. So if you got one that was comparable to a Red Max, you're going to be spending $1,200, $1,300, $2,000 on a torch. So I don't think GTT is a wise choice in this situation at all. I don't have anything against GTTs, but I don't think it's a good idea. Also, if you don't have someone that's an experienced GTT operator right there next to you that can help you look over your shoulder and teach you how to adjust the flame characteristics on that torch, I honestly believe you're going to burn it up. You will do it damage. So it's an artist. It's the torch you get when you got 10 years and you know what the fuck you're doing. It's not the torch. I'm so sick of guys. It's like guys saying that you should buy a $50,000 movie camera to make your first film. It's fucking ridiculous. It just cracks me up that people get into this shit. My advice: look into the Red Max over/under minor and Red Max. It's very affordable. The other option I'd look into is the minor mid-range combo. It's almost identical to the Red Max combo, except the minor mid-range combo is a little smaller. The minor, or the mid-range, is a little smaller than the Red Max Flame, but it's really close. But the advantage of spending less on the torch, like the minor Red Max, that thing will do everything a Carlisle CC will do. It'll do everything a GTT Phantom will do. It will do everything my torch will do. The Barracuda, the Tiger Shark from Bethlehem. The Red Max is in that range. It can do it all. It's beautiful, it's affordable, and you haven't spent tons of money. And in fact, by not spending that money, you're going to have the money for your hoses and regulators and all that. And if you really budget wisely and shop efficiently, you might even have money for a little kiln, which is going to get you far. You know, setting up a full studio is going to get you farther in glass than just buying an awesome torch. Heck, you could use the money you save and go pick up a bunch of glass. I mean, glass itself is expensive, or you could use that money that you'd save for propane and oxygen. All I'm saying, you can buy any torch you want. But in the end, a good, competent glass artist can do the same things with a Red Max that he can do with all the torches I listed. Anybody who tells you the difference, pretty much a lying sack of shit that's trying to make their cock look bigger because they have a GTT. I'm so sick of that mentality in the glass art community right now that I'd like to puke. So I got a little off track there. I really don't have anything against GTT. I just think that it's a silly idea for someone that's starting in glass, and I think it's a silly idea for, you know, I mean, if you want to spend the money, that's your choice. So that's the end of that. As for the switchbacks and reversals, I'd be honored to teach you and to teach you basic pipes. I'm going to have to make a series of small videos on individual. Someone else had asked me to cover the 8 fundamental skills of glass, and I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to make a series of the 8 fundamental concepts of glass that you have to master before you can really move forward.